14 вересня.
It's September 14. Ukraine Media Center confirms starts its operation. My name is Svetlana Cheprenko, and we start our day with a conversation about the international opportunities of Ukrzaliznytsia. Joining us online is Oleksandra Vasylenko, Director of International Offices of Ukrzaliznytsia. Good morning, dear Miss Oleksandra. Good morning. Ms. Alexandra, what is the international strategy of Ukrzaliznytsia? What was already implemented? What are the plans for the nearest and more remote future? Well, thank you for your question. The international strategy is being only formulated. I was in the office for about 1 month, and we review current goals of the company. Our focus is Euro integration, bringing in compliance of the certificates for the movement of the trains, the certificates of our rail. We deal with unbundling of Ukrzaliznytsia for efficient joining of European market of railway transportation. Also, we work on raising funds from international financial organizations. In particular, we focus a lot on submission of a project to CEF, the Connecting Europe Facility Program. We submit a lot of projects, currently about 12, and also we work with the partners on successful implementation and support of those projects because they are submitted in partnerships. Also, we develop the transport corridors. We consider alternative options of the northern directions. Recently, there was a visit of Yevgeny Lyashenko, the chair of the board of Ukrzaliznytsia, to Lithuania, and with our Lithuanian partners, we reconsider the map of TEN-T corridors to ensure efficient connection to the northern seaports. We pay a lot of attention to development of our cross-border relations with Romania, Slovakia, Bulgaria, Hungary, our traditional partners and neighbors. And now, when there is a lot of pressure on transportation network of Ukrainian infrastructure, due to the blocking of Black Sea ports, Ukrzaliznytsia tries to ensure the smooth movement of our export goods through western and southwestern borders. Now we work on the access to Constanța port in Romania, and we work quite actively on development of passenger transportation to have Ukrainian passengers delivered to the aviation hubs of Europe. We develop cooperation with Poland, and we aspire to expansion of cooperation with Czech Republic. And there's a lot of other minor issues. Well, so let's stop at the issue of Euro integration, what's going on and what is already fulfilled. We work on implementation of the law on railway transport to continue our movement towards the European Union. The draft law is almost finalized. It's considered together with the relevant committee of the Parliament, and then we will proceed to unbundling, to the matter of unbundling. It may create some issues here because the operation of Ukrzaliznytsia, the model of its operation is a little bit different from European model, which is oriented at Deutsche Bahn. This is why we work actively with the partners in Brussels to make sure that unbundling happens in the most efficient manner that ensures preservation of all the specificities of the company. Well, and talking about the compliance with the European standards, what's going on in this part? Well, we are in active negotiations with the partners. Our infrastructure units work quite closely with our Polish partners, for example, for certification of our employees who drive the locomotives, so they are allowed to cross the border and to continue movement without change of the service teams. So I would say we work gradually on a case-by-case basis, both with the partner countries and nomenclature of certificates. Well, transition from wide to narrow rail is a complicated process, but it's a part of our Euro integration. So what are the prospects in this regard? Well, it's not only lengthy and complicated, but it's also very expensive, because replacing the wide rail with the narrow one is quite expensive. Today we work on some sections of Ukrzaliznytsia railway to lay the narrow lane there. Also, we consider an option of combined railway, where both width railways are present, which is quite an efficient solution. So we work on this issue in cooperation with our European partners, with the neighbors. This process is very active with Poland. We discussed the sections of the railway where it should become narrow, but it requires a lot of investments, so this process should be going gradually. We're talking here not about millions but billions of money. Well, talking about investments, you mentioned that you submit different applications for grants, so can you give us a little bit more detail about the investments, about the grants? What were the funds that you were able to raise for what programs, and what are the plans? Ukraine, thank you. Ukraine, or Ukrzaliznytsia, is very actively preparing for joint operation with CEF, Central European Connecting Facility. It's a co-financing program, so we submit applications with the partners. We have a project with Poland in Mostyska, very wide-scale project that requires construction of the electrified railway plus the railway station. It's a complex project, and we also consider construction of the new checkposts in Chernivtsi region, for example, and Ukrzaliznytsia will submit 12 projects in total in cooperation with our partners, with our Polish and Romanian partners. And just today we've been discussing the application of the project in cooperation with Czech Republic to expand the passenger transportation between Kyiv and Prague through Chop, Košice, and further on to Prague, because Prague is an aviation hub. Ukraine is also very active in cooperation with USAID. We work with a number of teams in USAID. We focus on Romanian direction today to set up checkposts, railway checkposts, to ensure the uninterrupted movement of trains to the ports of Romania. We also pay a lot of attention to cooperation, to bilateral cooperation with the partners. For example, with Korea, we discussed the project of implementation of a high-speed passenger transportation, and during the Ukrainian-Korean forum, we will discuss an option of the high-speed connection between Kyiv and Warsaw. And we're trying to find more funds in the reserves of the European Union, from different charity foundations, and we try to put it together as a legal to put together the funding for our projects. Also, we work with European Investment Bank and other international financial organizations. EIB may act as a co-financer in some of our projects. There are many negotiations with American party. We work with the American Exim Bank on procurement of new locomotive fleet. We also have the same negotiations with French and German government to ensure the high quality of the products supplied at the most efficient price. Also, we are looking at supply terms because different financial institutions have different supply periods. Also, we work on reconstruction of infrastructure where it was damaged. We cooperate very actively with the government of France on that. On the bilateral level, we also discuss raising investments for automatic replacement of wheels to switch between wide and narrow railway. We cooperate with Spanish and French companies and European Commission because for us this technology, its implementation is very important. I'm not going to focus on the funds that were raised because they have a different structure. There are grants, there are borrowed funds, and some of the amounts are still being discussed and negotiated. For example, as in case with our Korean partners, also we consider the issue of development of the regional transportation to ensure comfortable transportation of passengers within Kyiv agglomeration and other big cities. For example, before the martial law, such projects were considered for Dnipro and Zaporizhia. Unfortunately, such negotiations are not as active now as they have been previously. Well, you've mentioned that for the Europeans, the paragon is the Deutsche Bahn. In my opinion, Ukrzaliznytsia works better in terms of transportation, but talking about the international standards, maybe we have some other benchmark like ours or some foreign benchmark. Miss Oleksandra, are you with us? Well, basically, I support your opinion. Oh, okay. Are you hearing me? There is something wrong with connection. So I'll repeat once again, I support your opinion. I think that Ukrzaliznytsia is quite an efficient company, maybe not super efficient, but that dynamics of operations processes is at a very high level, and the company to the maximum extent tries to ensure proper operation and we implemented a number of procedures within the company to be able to consider new innovations and investment processes so we can understand how to do it in the most efficient manner. Talking about the benchmarks, I don't know if we have any specific benchmark for the time being because we try to use the best practices not only from European Union, and it's very important also to understand that Ukrzaliznytsia is a huge company that has a lot of areas within its structure like passenger transportation, locomotive fleet, infrastructure, and for every such area there is a number of projects that don't always coincide in the way we see it with our foreign partners. We work quite actively with Deutsche Bahn to involve their expertise, but we also work with Polish companies, Polska SKP PLK, for active cooperation with which we need to understand their operating procedures, their practice. Recently there was a meeting between Mr. Vasylenko and the head of PKP Polska, the Polish Railway, and Mr. Nowinski, the president of Polish Railway, during non-formal conversation mentioned that he would like to get more familiarized with the operation processes of Ukrzaliznytsia to ensure such a resilient operation of Polish railways. So I think this is one of the best compliments that we could get about the operations of our company. Well, I think that resilience is about our country in general within the last couple of years. Ms. Oleksandra, what about the tariffs given the inflation in Ukraine and in the world today? Well, it's difficult to comment the tariffs for international transportation. We try to make them as cheap as possible, providing at the same time the highest level service for our clients. So we diversify the products, but as soon as the export product crosses the border, we start dealing with our colleagues on the other side of the border, and we take a lot of efforts in our negotiation processes to make sure that tariff is the lowest possible for our exporters. I cannot give you the figures because it's the responsibility of Vyacheslav Yeremin and the representatives of Karko Polska, I mean the representative of relevant department of Ukrzaliznytsia, and I think it's one of the most serious steps for expansion of Ukrzaliznytsia to international transportation markets. I mean the markets of commercial transportation. And talking about the alternative routes, we have very active negotiations with the partners in the government of Lithuania, with Lithuanian Railway, about compensation of tariffs to make it competitive for our exporters, so we could reach Baltic ports, specifically Klaipėda. It requires not only compensation of tariffs, but serious investments in transportation capacity on that route. But we work on that case together with European Commission. I mean potential compensation of costs, the mechanisms of compensation, and understanding to whom it could be compensated and to what extent. And just a couple of words about the representative offices of Ukrzaliznytsia. What is their geography and how are they managed? For the time being, physically, we have representative of Ukrzaliznytsia in the Republic of Poland, not yet physically created, but there is a plan to create the representative office in Brussels, Belgium, in European Union. We actively cooperate with the partners in European Union to understand how to make it in the most efficient manner possible. There are representatives of Ukraine in a number of countries. As I said, it's Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Baltic countries, Moldova, and Romania. So it's for people who physically stay in other countries, and over there they solve strategic cooperation issues along with operational matters should there any things arise, like delay of the carriages. So they stay there on spot to solve those problems as soon as possible. And the most active is cooperation with Poland. Well, it's clear about Poland, but why Brussels? Well, because first of all, is the capital of European Union, is the access to European institutions, because such things as European integration, certification of our company in European market, it will require an immense amount of contacts in Brussels with the representatives, not only European Commission, but also with the representatives of our partner countries. And in fact, a significant number of European railway companies have their representative offices in Brussels, just like our Polish partners and Deutsche Bahn that I've mentioned. And the Polish partners proposed their support, so we could develop our representative office on the platform of Polish Railway Representative Office. Well, we had such a proposal, and it's important for us to have the direct contact, specifically when the dynamics of European integration, the dynamics of this process of access to the European market. will be more active to make sure we have the quickest access possible and we have the opportunity to solve all of our issues in a prompt manner. Well, let's give the floor to our colleagues so they could ask questions. Good morning, Yulia Abakumova, Ukrinform. You announced a number of projects on renewing of the fleet of Ukrzaliznytsia. Can you give us a little bit more figures? What is planned to be repaired? What is planned to be procured? What will be the companies to be involved in these projects? And do you consider any local Ukrainian manufacturers? I would like to ask you if we talk about the passenger fleet or commercial fleet. Well, let's talk both, please. Well, so let's start with the cargo fleet. For the time being, we consider the supply of locomotives from such countries as Czech Republic, United States of America, and the Republic of France. Those are the proposals that are on the table for the time being and that are being actively negotiated. Obviously, Ukrzaliznytsia takes that decision in cooperation with the relevant ministry. We have an urgent need for locomotives because our locomotives fleet is obsolete, and to ensure the proper transportation, because there is a huge demand for transportation via railway, so we need to procure the locomotives the soonest possible, and we consider different options for this. Mostly it's the credit finance, and for us it's important to get competitive prices for that. And talking about the passenger fleet, for the time being, the freshest news is the upgrade of intercity fleet, and we are very active in negotiations with our Korean partners because we have certain specimens and we've received quite an attractive proposal. But again, I need to re-emphasize, it's the matter of negotiations and the maximum transparency of those processes, so I cannot say for sure it will be Korea 100%. And talking about high-speed transportation, we also consider some proposals from our Japanese partners who wield a very serious technology in this area. But again, here we're facing some restrictions imposed by European quality standards and European market. And if we talk about high-speed transportation, we need to find some complex solutions. And talking about the number of trains, I mean the passenger trains, here we're talking about 10 trains, 6 carriages each, 6 cars each. We also looking for upgrade of the cargo carriages too. We cooperate with Ukrainian companies where it's possible in every potential contract for supply of any type of products or materials in compliance with the laws of Ukraine. We try to adhere to cooperation with the local manufacturer. Thank you very much. So I'm having another question about the probable passenger routes, different connections between Ukrainian cities and European cities. Thank you. Well, look, now we're trying to expand the number of routes to Poland. We hope that maybe by the end of October, I don't want to set any deadlines, though I hope that we will get the new train from Lviv, Frawaruska to Warsaw that will significantly facilitate the access of the passengers to the market and the number of tickets. Well, it will increase the number of passengers on the train. I hope that we will be able to arrange all the issues and we will be able to provide these service shortly. Also, we're talking about Vienna and Prague today. We want to reestablish the route to Chisinau and to Wilno. This is something that is on the surface now, but here we're talking about the commercial feasibility and demand for such transportation. We understand that we need to provide an option to our passengers to reach not only Warsaw aviation hub, but also to give them the alternative, like Czech Republic, Hungary, Budapest, and Chisinau in Moldova, and hopefully Vilnius, but let's see how soon we will be able to upgrade this route. Obviously, we have plans to expand the geography of our network to different European capitals, but it's also about demand, feasibility, and budget. And of course, there is a lot of technical issues on top of that, like sales of tickets and stuff like that. But first, we need to coordinate their route, and all the rest comes then. But for sure, there will be new trains to Warsaw, and people will not have to look for the tickets for a long time. Well, many Ukrainians wait for these routes. Thank you, Ms. Oleksandra, for your comprehensive answers. I'm reminding you, joining us was Oleksandra Vasylenko, the Director of International Offices at Ukrzaliznytsia. And at 12 o'clock, we will be talking about the role of foreign medical education missions in Ukraine's healthcare system during wartime. Stay tuned.